Hola, hola a todos, and welcome back to the Rise Differently podcast. I am your host, Canela, and I'm so happy that you're here because your energy could be anywhere else in the world, but yet you are here. You are tuning in to the Rise Differently podcast because you know that as a high achieving woman of color and Latinas, we are ready to rise in a different way. As we're getting ready for the season of love, and don't get me wrong, we have access to love at any time. But yet, we know if you grew up here in the United States, we celebrate Valentine's Day. And it's a day that, yes, has been a little commercialized, if you ask me. But it's a day also that many of us, we show how much we love somebody in that particular day. And again, I'm all for showing love every day because I am a romantic. I believe in love and I believe in showing love. And I also feel like I am a representation of love. I want to be that every single day when I show up in this life and modeling it to the world outside of me. And so I feel like as we go into the season, because I know many of you are probably in your season of seeking for love. And how exciting is that? Whether it is self love, love in relationships, whatever that might be, I'm excited for you. But I also remember a time when I was in your shoes, when I wasn't married to my wonderful husband now that is about to be 2 years. And I remember what that journey felt like for me in the very beginning because as a eldest daughter, as a first generation Latina, growing up, I didn't see a lot of great examples of what a healthy, long lasting relationship looked like. And even though I was blessed to be raised by my two parents, at the age of 16, my parents decided to get a divorce. And what was super ironic is that my family growing up, they helped a lot of other couples stay in their relationships and saved a lot of their marriages. And yet, ironically, my parents couldn't do that for themselves. And there's no shame on that because my parents had to honor the fact that they were not in alignment with each other. And growing up, I was okay with that. If anything, I felt that it was the best decision for them. But that was a weird time as well for me because as I was navigating what I wanted in partnership, a lot of the things that I leaned into growing up was looking at Disney movies. For those of you who grew up in a Latina household, you know novelas, right? Looked at the novelas. I looked at the Disney movies. I looked at all the rom-coms because your girl loves me some rom-coms, okay? I think they're the sweetest things. And I also leaned into music because that feeling that I would get when people would talk about love and sing about love, it just filled my heart with so much hope and excitement and all of these different beautiful feelings. And I thought love was supposed to be that way. And growing up, when I do look at my parents' relationship, I learned very early that you got to fight for the people that you love, no matter what. Got to give it your all. And that's what I did. For a lot of my relationships that I had in my early teens to my 20s, I started really exploring and using that time to really understand what is it that I really want for me in a long-term partnership. And let me tell you, I did a lot of exploration. A lot. I had long term relationships, and then there was a phase where I was giving a lot of attention to dating and just trying to see different personalities and what I really liked, what I did not like. And let me tell you, I got really good at defining with what I didn't like and pulling all the good things that I saw in different people. But I still didn't have this clear vision of what do I want? What do I want to feel? And how do I want my life to look like when I'm in partnership? And so it was a long journey. And I remember in 2020, after a breakup that I had with my partner at that time of 2 years, I realized that a lot of the habits and the patterns that I was doing kept repeating. And I was getting so tired of it. I was like, oh my goodness, how are they manifesting and continue to be repeated with the different people that I'm dating, whether it's long term or short term? How is this even possible? I noticed that as I did deeper work, is that I was looking at partnerships that I knew unconsciously that I had seen growing up. And I was tired of it. I was like, look, I'm gonna be a cycle breaker. I am tired of dating these people that are not aligning to me and that don't want the same things that I do, that don't have the same values as me, that don't picture a similar lifestyle. I'm tired of it. I don't want to continue this path of going with the flow and seeing where our timing takes us. And then to realize that it's not going to work out and that we're not in true alignment with each other. We're having a great time, but we're not going anywhere moving forward. And so after that breakup, I was really on this quest of understanding why I was doing these type of things in my relationships and why I couldn't find the partnership that my heart was truly seeking for. And that wasn't until I got on Instagram and one of my college friends posted about this book. When I saw this book, I had a lot of curiosity because one, it wasn't a book that I typically go for. This book that I'm speaking about is by Pastor Michael Todd from Transformation Church. He's located in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And his book is called Relationship Goals. And it is a book based on Christian values. And the goal is to support more people to become more intentional with their dating, or as the book says, dating with purpose. And that was the first time I really heard of something like that, dating with purpose, dating with intention. Like, I was so curious that I was like, let me lean into it. But I will be very honest, I had so much resistance towards it at first because it came from Christian values. Now, a little background about me is I grew up Catholic. I still identify as Catholic. But my parents weren't super firm or strict or super duper religious. We did attend church every Sunday. You know, I would be a part of the church, like reading the lectures and singing for the choir. We were high participants in the church. But if you've ever been to a Catholic church, you usually allow the priest to share the word, you digest the word, and then, you kind of reflect on it and you go. At least that was my experience. I never really heard anybody in our church talk about intentional dating or dating with purpose. And if you've grown in a Latino household, typically your parents will say, hey, no te vas a, you're not going to be in relationship with anybody until I say so. Bring them to the house. I will judge them. And if they're good for you, then you can move forward with that relationship. That was a lot of my experience. And even though I also had very progressive and open parents who also believed in allowing me to explore and see what I liked, there was just a different way that I grew up that I wasn't really exposed to what faith had in store for me when it came to relationship. I just knew that we get married in the church, we get blessed by God, we go through these steps to make sure that that happens and get the blessing from your family, right? I grew up with that. And knowing and normalizing that that was the way to love. When your family approves of your partner, then it's a green light, right? Like you can go. But that book challenged me in a different way. That book challenged my beliefs, my mindset, my behaviors. It challenged a new way of thinking, something that was outside of me, which made me feel uncomfortable because I'm like, am I truly ready to digest all of this information? And would this make me too religious? Like, would this change me? I knew deep down inside that the way that I was navigating relationships and trying to seek out love and long-term relationship was not working in the way that I was doing it. So I allowed myself to lean in with curiosity and I allowed myself to read that book. And let me tell you, it brought up a lot of mixed feelings. I was so angry, so frustrated with a lot of the things that he had to share. But at the same time, I was open to it. I was open to some of the strategies that he had based on these pillars of faith and how to move with so much intention and how to focus our aim with what it is that we truly want and what our values are and getting clear with that and setting boundaries. And I was like, wow, like I never thought about that. Growing up, I thought that I got to fight for love. I got to adjust and become whatever that partner wants from me so they can love me extra. And if I do that, they're going to stay. And based on my experience, I realized that people don't stay the more and more that you mold. People stay when they are committed and they want to continue to choose you over and over again. And that's the whole part of intentional dating is getting to know who you are, standing in your truth, setting those boundaries, and having someone that will complement that. And that was a game changer for me because as I continued to read this book and implement some of the tips that it had, I saw a huge shift in my dating life. I was able to discern more. I was able to not entertain people that were not worth my time, that didn't have the same visions as me, that didn't have the same values as me. I was able to clearly state to people, and not in a rude way, but I would say, hey, like, thank you so much for this date, but I don't think moving forward, this would be the right direction for us to go. Or I appreciate your time and you're a good person, but I don't think we align, right? Using that type of language was like a game changer for me. And you'd be so surprised with the amount of people that can be accepting with that. And it just shifted the way that I moved. I became more clear with what it is that I believed in more of. And it gave me clarity and focus on the type of partnership that I seeked for and how I wanted us to build a life together. And so moving forward, as I continue to date with intention, with purpose, understanding who I was and understanding my values and just moving in that flow and direction, my focus, my clarity was so defined. And I'm so grateful for that book because that book eventually led me to meeting my now husband, and it's allowed us to continue this work together. Honestly, I wanted to share that with you all because as high achieving women of color and Latinas, we sometimes are afraid to fail or to repivot and restructure the way that we want to move in life. And that also includes the way that we move in relationships and how we navigate love, whether it's for ourselves, whether it's in partnership, whether it's with our family members, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's so hard because we think that the way that we grew up is the way that we should be doing things and repeating that cycle and not taking the time to slow down to really ask ourselves, am I moving in the direction that I really want? Is this really the type of love that I crave? Is this the type of partner that I can see myself saying yes to over and over again, even when they show up imperfect? And sometimes we tend to mold ourselves because we want to stay in the relationship, which has nothing bad to say about us because it shows that we have big hearts, that we want deep, meaningful relationship, and that we want something long lasting. And that's beautiful, right? And I know that in our Latino cultures and even in the women of color experience, we grow up with immigrant families who place a lot of value on the longevity of how long you stay in a relationship to be quote unquote successful. And the pressure of when you're in your singleness of cuando vas a tener un novio, when are you gonna have a boyfriend, when are you gonna get married, when are you gonna have kids, like the pressure is so heavy on us, especially as first generation women of color and Latinas, and adding in the mixture of being high achievers, right? It's just so much pressure. But I wanted to share this story of mine because that book really shifted something different in me. And now they have a whole movie on Prime, okay? You can watch it. It is the cutest thing. I already watched it. They did a great job with using the avatars of what's so relatable in our society now with how dating looks like now. And for those of us who have been in long-term relationships, how to navigate even that and getting our partners to realign with us and what it is that you want and how to live based on your own values and your truth and how to bring that together in partnership. That's the most important thing. So the book and the movie do a really great job with that. And whatever it is that you feel most comfortable with and what your capacity is, I invite you to explore both and see what resonates and what doesn't. And how can you allow yourself to change your narrative about relationships, your story about love, and how can you align it more with what it is that you truly are seeking for? One that is based in your truth, one that brings you so much peace and excitement, and one that lets you live with alignment. Because I know for many of us, stories will be very different because we all come from different backgrounds, from what we've experienced with seeing what love looks like, feels like, and what relationship looks like and feels like. We all have some different ones. And here we honor how individualized we all are because none of us are meant to be the same. We're meant to be different. What we're here for is that we're going to rise in a different way when it comes to love, when it comes to intentionally dating, when it comes to seeking intentional partnership. That's why you're here, because we're going to rise in a different way, especially when it comes to love. Because as high achieving women of color and Latinas, we deserve a love that fills our cup and that we are in aligned partnership with, so we can get to the next levels of what we want in our lifetime. And when you do it in partnership, with aligned partnership, that's a game changer. And so I want to see more of us in that, whatever that might mean to you. And that's why I shared this testimony of my story, because when I look back at that version of Edie's, I'm like, wow, like I don't want to say that I was lost, but it was more of, I was so unclear with what I really wanted. And I'm thankful for the exploration. I'm thankful for that version of me that decided to see what worked and what definitely did not work, okay? But then finding that book and allowing herself to lean in with curiosity. And even when she went through all the feels and was battling it and was like, do I really want to do this? Like, do I really want to apply this to my life? But I bet it on myself. I allowed myself to try something different. I allowed my rise with love be different. I allowed myself to change the narrative of what a relationship, a healthy partnership should look like for myself. I decided to break cycles there. And that all came through curiosity and allowing myself to trust that nudge, to trust the advice that was being given there and taking what resonated in that moment, right? Because maybe there were things I remember that did not fully resonate in that moment. And I just applied what felt relevant to me in that moment. And it really supported me. And that's why I share that with you, because I want to support you in wherever you're at in your journey and allowing you to see that you can change your narrative. You can change the story of what love looked like for you growing up, and that you deserve a better and more loving and healthier relationship for yourself. And that can be applied with yourself too, because I learned to love myself even more through that process. Now, I'm not saying that I was perfect. I definitely had to do some trial and error there. And I'm still doing it, if I'm quite honest with you, because relationships stretch you, it challenges you, and it's not an easy journey. But what I'm learning about love is that, are you committed to saying yes to yourself or to your partnership over and over in time? That's the goal, especially when seeking out healthy relationship. And so I want to encourage you to change your narrative and to seek for something better, because you deserve it. And that is going to bring you so much fulfillment in your life. And as we talk about here in this podcast, it's about rising with intention. It's rising in a way where you are tapping into more sustainable success and to allow yourself to feel that aligned fulfillment for you. And so check out the movie, check out the book. Okay, you can watch the movie on Amazon Prime. Again, this is not sponsored. I'm just sharing what has supported me through this journey. And I know that it's going to support you too as you continue to achieve all the things that you want, and especially rewriting your narrative with love and allowing yourself to tap into what it is that your heart truly desires. That's how we're going to be able to receive love in the ways that you've never felt before. And that is beautiful. And again, this is like my romantic side speaking, because I believe in love. I know that love is also a catalyst to fuel us as we continue to move forward in our journeys. And that's also part of the success story. At least for me, it has been. And I want you to experience that too. So allow yourself to rewrite the narrative. Allow yourself to rise differently with love. And until next time, keep rising differently. And I'll see you in the next episode.